So my name is Lindsey Anderson. I'm the chairman of the MIT Sloan CIO Symposium, and I am here to welcome you all. This is I believe it's our 12th award ceremony, and it is our 16th MIT Sloan CIO Symposium. So we're here for some great views, some networking, great food and drink, but more importantly, we're here to honor 4 outstanding CIOs. First, I'd like to take an opportunity to just mention why the symposium is unique and thank the folks that make this event possible. So the MIT Sloan CIO Symposium is the only event globally that integrates the academic thought leadership of MIT together with the global experience of outstanding CIOs and industry experts. The other thing that makes it unique, it's the only event of this size and caliber that is run by volunteers. So I'd like to thank all the volunteers for their hard work, their intellectual curiosity, and their dedication to making this event possible. Volunteers, please raise your hands. The dinner and the event would also not be possible without the academic thought leadership at MIT. So specifically, I'd like to thank the MIT Initiative on the Digital Economy and also the which is IDE for those in the know, and also the MIT Sloan Center for Information Systems Research, which is fondly known as CISR. So IDE and CISR, please raise your hands. Thank you. I'd also like to thank our speakers who bring their insights and war stories to the symposium. So MIT's theme or motto is mens et manu, which is, I speak Latin with a heavy accent, American accent, but means mind and hand, which is, the intellectual and the practical. So your speakers, CIOs from various industries, what you're helping bring to the symposium is that practical insight, that experience. And that's one of the things that makes the symposium great. So I'd like to thank all of the speakers. Once again, thank you. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, because without their financial support, certainly this dinner wouldn't be possible, and the symposium wouldn't be possible. So diamond sponsors, Google Chrome Enterprise, Salesforce, PTC. Our platinum sponsors, Deloitte Digital and Equinix. Our gold sponsors, Adobe, Cast, Korn Ferry, LifeRay, Markley Group, McKinsey, Nagaro, RMS US, Russell Reynolds, Top Coder, and Trace3. And I'd also like to thank our bronze sponsor, the MIT Sloan Executive Education. Each sponsor has great insights and technologies. We urge you to visit their booths tomorrow. Now let me circle back to our primary purpose for tonight, and that's honoring 4 exceptional CIOs. I'd like to start by introducing my partner in crime, George Westerman. George is a senior lecturer at the MIT Sloan School of Management. He is also a faculty director for the workforce learning at the MIT Jameel World Education Laboratory. He's the co-chair of the Leadership Award, the MIT Sloan CIO Leadership Award Committee. And the award criteria is derived from his book, The Real Business of IT, How CIOs Create and Communicate Value. George is also co-author among MIT's Andy McAfee, Leading Digital, Turning Technology into Business Transformation, which many consider the Bible on digital transformation. Tomorrow, George will be moderating a panel of all the finalists. Please welcome George Westerman.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out for my speech. Actually, this is just such a wonderful event. I've been now helping to run this event for about 8 years now. Didn't start it, but helped to run it, and it just gets better every year. So, one of the things, though, just a little bit of history lesson to get started. About 10 years ago, that book that Lindsey mentioned came out, The Real Business of IT. And the whole reason Rich and I wrote that book is we were arguing this whole idea that the order-taker mentality had to leave, that CIOs needed to adopt a strategic partnership mentality or they would not survive. And back then, it was kind of a cool thing to say. We kind of had a 4-step pathway to go through, but there were not a lot of people doing it yet. But we kind of argued that, it wasn't about technical or expertise. It wasn't about playing golf with the boss. It was about communicating differently. It was about, changing your mindset of your team and taking the right steps at the right times to move forward. You couldn't really be strategic until you had some other things in place, but once those other things in place, you needed to stop paying attention to operations and move up to a more strategic role. We argued strongly, don't wait to be asked. Step up and do that, because nobody's going to give you that role, but you can step up and make that happen. And what's interesting is 10 years later, the book's still relevant. I mean, it's 10 years ago, right? But the path still works. The methods that we were talking about still work, but the technologies have changed. And that kind of core thing about communicating and relating and being part of the team, if anything, it's more important than it was before. So something has changed, though, with the digital age, and that's that this is becoming more common. We're seeing more CIOs becoming strategic partners. We're also seeing more CIOs playing a role that we called the CIO plus, not only running IT, but running other parts of the business as they're going forward. They're not only changing IT, they're changing the business. They're not only helping to lead the business, they're actually leading the business. And the thing is, this award program is a perfect example of that happening, right? These 4 CIOs are truly business leaders. They're not just technology leaders. They are truly leading. And these 4 CIOs are just 4 out of a huge number of applications we received for this award. Something has really changed, that CIOs are stepping up and they're playing a very different role in organizations. And I'm just delighted to see it. I'm also delighted to be able to share some stories and to highlight these 4 amazing finalists that we've got here. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the award program and also how this stuff happens. So you get to wait a little bit longer before you meet our finalists. Right? Mike Johnson, where are you, Mike? So Mike and Gopi Bala launched this program about 12 years ago, and the whole point was to really highlight some of the best leaders in IT. They believed, and we still believe, that by showing some of the best examples of great IT leaders, we can change the story from saying be strategic to here are examples you can follow. There's still too much out there that says if the bosses would just let me lead, I could be able to do it. And we need to change that conversation that your boss will let you lead when you show that you can. And these people all have found ways to do that in their careers and do amazing things. So the goal of this program is not only to highlight great CIOs, it's also to help people set their aspirations. If they can do it, maybe I can do it. And maybe I can learn something from what they did that can help them go. So as I think about aspirations, I had never had any idea that this award would get as big as it is. And Mike, I don't know whether you and Gopi had any idea this award would get as big as it is. So, it's really something super. It's actually getting harder and harder these days to choose finalists because they're all just so darn good. And so our conversations among the judges get really interesting. Like, how could you leave that person out? Well, we have to choose a few, right? And so how do we do it? We have judges along the way and a 3-step process to get there. So the first step, we get a whole lot of applications. We actually make the application a little bit of work, so you don't just do it half-heartedly, but we also word limit it so the judges can have their time going there. And I know a couple people I've talked to said, George, there's so much more I could have said if you just gave me a few more words, right? By the way, there's an old story. Nobody knows who said it, but they say it's Rene Descartes. They say it's Mark Twain. I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have time. So this is what we do with the application process. We make you be short and sweet, not only because it makes you be clearer on what you're saying, but also it's easier on the judges, right? So in round one, who were the round one judges? Any round one judges here? Please stand up. Wonderful. Great. Round one, they had to filter, Ginny, yeah, keep standing up there. So they had to stand up, they had to go through the huge number of applications we got, sort them according to a rubric, and help us understand who was really pretty amazing. Round two judges. Any round two judges here? One. Dave, you're here, aren't you? Two. Mike. Yeah, great. Round two is the real gauntlet you had to run, because round two is former finalists and winners of our award trying to decide who they want to let into the club. And so there's always a really fascinating discussion around that. And then round three people? So the round three, 1, 2, 3, and Ray, my co-chair, Ray Chang, he's always here. He decided he had something better to do. His son is graduating college, so I'll speak for him. Round three, we interviewed each of the CIOs to try to understand a little bit more than just what you had on the written word, to try to get a feel for you as a leader and your strategy and your vision for going forward. So that was the process. So now we have the opportunity to talk about the finalists. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order. Alphabetical order is a really bad thing for me because my name is Westerman. But anyway, Gail Evans, where are you? Great. So Gail is chief. Wonderful. I'm going to make you stand for a minute. Sorry, Gail. Chief Digital Officer of Mercer. Mercer is one of those ones that some people know about, others don't. The thing is, if you don't know Mercer, you've been touched by Mercer. There are 115 million people they've helped by helping employers and other companies do talent management, investment services, healthcare services. Gail had a really tough job to do. You didn't have a tough time. You had a tough job to do because this is a diversified set of companies that, although they fit under an umbrella, they worked very separately from each other. And she had to find some way to get these synergies among these to get some additional value out of the IT beyond working in the silos. So what did she do? This unit's under budget pressure. They also have what I'd call a respect deficit. And you know what I mean by that, right? They weren't exactly the most respected in the organization, and Gail turned that around, right? So what did she do? She cleaned up the messy legacy environment, introduced agile API-based architecture. She called it Mercer OS. They now deliver solutions 4 times faster than they did before. They deliver solutions at a lower cost than they did before. And they can deliver solutions across the units in ways that they never could before. It's been so helpful that Gail was able to fund these transformations over and over again out of cost savings, no capital investment. So that's a pretty cool story there. She also spent a lot of time educating her people and educating the rest of the company on just what it means to be more agile, to be more digital, to what's the art of the possible. And then on top of that, they launched client intelligence, business intelligence platforms, all these kinds of things. The company rewarded her. She's now Chief Digital Officer, not just CIO. So it's a really amazing story. So Gail, thank you. So Lindsey, this is the one thing we didn't coordinate. Do you want them to come up here, or? I think so, yeah. I broke the last camera. That was the problem. Okay. Kris or Al, why don't you come up here? Kris is the CIO of Ricoh USA. And Ricoh is the world's largest copier company. But Kris is helping them be a whole lot more than that. So when he started in the role, he reshaped the structure of the group. He restructured talent management. He really helped to turn the IT organization around. But in addition to helping his team think differently about their roles, they introduced a new flexible external labor sourcing. And I love the acronym, FUEL, right? It's flexible.
Use of external labor.
There you go. Flexible use of external, so it's a fuel to help push them forward, right? So that's kind of cool. But then beyond that, they said, okay, we've done that. What else can we do? Let's help the business change the way that they think too. So how can we help the business think very differently about the business they're in? So copiers, we know what copiers are. They become multifunctional business hubs for companies. And that means more than just scanning and emailing and faxing. They're now managing workflow. They're integrating electronic whiteboards. They're changing collaboration. They're becoming cloud storage platforms. Very different kind of role. They're using IoT and VR to change the way they service and diagnose their machines so that they know whether the machine needs help before you get there. New people can be as good as more experienced people because they have access to great experts and VR when they need to be there. And in addition, they're launching a whole new suite of technical, financial, business solutions to really kind of just push the envelope for what these machines can do to help any kind of organization that, especially where they have small units in a lot of different places, what can they do to make that different? So Kris, thank you. Congratulations for being a finalist. Aarti. Aarti Shah is the Senior Vice President and CIO and Chief Digital Officer for Eli Lilly and Company. I will say, pharma is one of those interesting places for IT. I've got a friend who I won't name who says the pharma companies seem to be able to cure any condition in the world except for bad IT problems. But Aarti's doing some really fascinating stuff, right? She's proving him wrong. She came from outside IT, not a technical background, but to help them improve the way that IT is working. Trying to change it not only for how it works, but what it's like to work there. So you spend a lot of time thinking about how can we make IT a place people want to be and a place people want to talk to, as opposed to just being one of those functions that's kind of annoying in the company, right? But then you also tried to think, how can we help the business be better? So there's this digital health initiative, and there were 4 elements to that. Connect, so the information gets to the right places. Automate where it makes sense. Improve decision-making, and then innovate the whole process. In just a few years, they've had impressive results. One of the things they've done is they have taken 2 years out of the drug development cycle. And that's a very expensive and slow process. So 2 years is a lot of money. Right? But they're personalizing patient interventions. They've created an information hub, integrated thing they call, here's another one of those acronyms, CLUE, C-L-U-W-E. Now, I don't know, the W is silent, right? But what I love about this platform is so good that they had a plan that was this long for rollout, and the scientists said, no, make it that long. We want it right away. So pretty neat idea, especially in a pharma company. So thank you. Congratulations. And finally, Eash Sundaram. Executive Vice President, Chief Digital and Technology Officer at JetBlue, also Chairman of JetBlue Technology Ventures. And Eash is the 7th CIO at JetBlue, and he's probably had the most, I think he's had the most strategic impact on the company. As he said, many people believe in technical solutions, but they miss the people side. And that's just so important to think about. Same thing on digital transformation, right? Digital transformation is not really about the digital, it's about the transformation. And we forget that. We forget that too often in different groups. He was brought in to stabilize IT, but he said, that's boring. We're going to do more than that. So they fixed IT, and then they said, what else can we do? What else can we do? So Eash has this really interesting mantra, personal, helpful, simple. What can we do to make anything more personal, helpful, simple? If you can do that, we're going to make a change happen. So they constantly transform operations, customer experience, business models. They actually were the people who proved the business model for bringing free Wi-Fi on JetBlue airplanes, so we were eternally grateful on that. And that's not only good for the flyers, it turns out that's actually really good for the pilots and the maintenance crews also, so that works really well. They suggested a steady stream of ways to help customers. So many suggestions they've made that Eash now owns digital customer experience in addition to owning IT. They've taken 20 steps out of the boarding process by doing facial recognition. Now, it feels a little creepy to me, but boy, those 20 steps, that was kind of nice, right? Permanent bag tags, so if you're a frequent flyer, you don't need to go, you just drop it off, they take care of it. AI-based approaches for dynamic seat pricing for call centers, so the call centers can serve you better, but with the right information, you don't even need to call them anymore. So just fascinating with this. And now what they're doing is they're helping JetBlue move beyond flying to really think about how to make JetBlue a travel hospitality brand beyond the airplanes. So also just a phenomenal set of really amazing innovations and exciting things. So congratulations, Eash, and thanks for being here. So I think you'll recognize there's nothing average about these CIOs. What's happening is the tide keeps rising. CIOs are getting better and better, and yet we still find these wonderful people that are the cream of the crop, and it's just wonderful to be able to share your stories. So one more time, all four, can you just stand up and I'll give you one more round of applause. So one other thing, all four finalists will be appearing twice tomorrow. Once on a finalist panel at lunch that I'll be moderating. So we can talk about what it means to be a great CIO. And each one also will be on a different panel on a topic that really makes most sense for the kinds of stuff they're doing. So you'll get to see them a lot in the next day. But we also now for the big award, right? You ready? Drum roll. Wonderful. The 2019 MIT CIO Sloan Leadership Award goes to Eash Sundaram. Congratulations.
Yes.
So I don't know whether that's working.
It does.
This is more reliable.
It's easy.
Okay, great.
Do you want me to hold that for you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, you don't want the flight crew to make any announcements, right? It's a good weather day, so I'm hoping everyone had a good flight back into Boston. Good evening, everyone. It's really such an honor. I'm humbled. I can't believe I'm receiving this award. I'm really, really excited to be in the middle of so many of my esteemed colleagues, and congratulations to the rest of the finalists. As George said, everyone's a winner here, right? It's very, very humbling. I just wanted to say a few words. Thank you, George and team, for selecting me. It's such an honor, as I said. And I'm receiving this on behalf of 23,000 JetBlue crew members. If you think about this industry, not many people know. We all think, we fly planes. When JetBlue was founded, the mission that we brought in was bringing humanity back to air travel. That's unique, right? In a publicly traded company, bringing humanity is not what Wall Street looks for. But when you think about how our mission statement has become inspiring humanity, the foundational thing that goes hand in hand delivering this experience is our crew members, the culture. We take a lot of pride in enabling our crew members. And when the company was founded, our founder, David Neeleman, said, we are a customer service company that happens to fly planes. In the last 3 years, I'm so proud to say we've redefined that to say we are a customer service company. We are a technology company that happens to be in customer service business. And if you think about this aviation industry, commercial aviation started January 1st, 1914. This is interesting. 105 years of commercial aviation. Our industry has only seen mergers, acquisitions, and bankruptcies. There are thousands and thousands of people who have lost jobs. There's no success story here, right? The collective industry has lost $38 billion. And if you look at JetBlue, 20 years into existence, we're the only airline that has actually survived 20 years without a merger, acquisition, or a bankruptcy. We have to be very proud about that, right? When you think about the future, we always say future-proofing JetBlue is protecting the jobs of thousands of people, staying competitive, preserving the culture. There's only two things that matter to us. One is really expanding our products beyond being an airline. We have to get into travel hospitality. Being an airline, we know we're not going to be successful into the future. asset-heavy growth, and technology plays a key part. And also disrupting what we do within the airline is so important to us. Everything's changing. The pace at which it's changing is super fast, and we have to start embracing. And we've spun off some companies to support that. Our JetBlue Technology Ventures, we've invested in close to 25 companies that is completely redefining what we do for our living. And you can see some of those experiences coming in. Again, on behalf of 22,000 crew members, I'm very proud to receive this award. It can't happen without them. It's IT, it's finance, it's customer experience. Everyone's part of our success, and I'm sure most of you fly us, and if there's anything I can be of help, please send me a note. We are connected 24/7. It's not a chat bot that responds. And thank you again. It's an honor to be here.